Good evening, everybody, and welcome to First Generation Dad. I am your host, Tony, and with me as always this season is my partner in crime, Mr. Will Morgan. Thank you for tuning in, and for those of you checking us out after we air live, thank you for checking us out as well. We still appreciate you. Remember to check out all the Pinfall socials and make sure to like and support and subscribe, and then also check out the First Generation Dad Facebook page. We'd love to get you engaged there and get to talk with you. How's your week going, Will?
Doing good. How about you, bro?
Not doing too bad. It's been an interesting week in sports, so we'll get to talk about that on Monday on Sports Report. But other than that, it's been kind of tame.
Yeah, same here. Just working, trying to get things along, trying to get the kids ready for school. We had to do an orientation for the new school this week, and it's kind of out in the boonies, but we found it and was able to do our thing. So,
yeah, it's weird that school's already starting. It always feels weird to me. Like when I start talking about my son, he's like, "What already?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Like, I feel bad for because it's still even for me. Like, I don't even have to go anymore. And I'm just like, seriously, that's it.
Yeah.
But we ended up doing. We weren't gonna do. We were gonna go back to in-person school this year, but we actually found an online program that is actually going to work for him.
Oh, cool.
It's work at your own pace. He has to attend one live lecture a week that's usually like 30 minutes to an hour. Right. Everything else, the work is in there that day. He just gets it done. So we don't have to fight with him on sleep with his meds. When he's having anxiety, he can step away for an hour and go back to it, and it's not a big deal. Like it's going to be, I think it's going to be good for him. So hopefully this is going to work. And we're getting him into some other extracurriculars, like back in the Scouts, probably get him into like karate or taekwondo or something.
Okay.
Just to get him going so he still has the social aspect. But it's a better online program than we had him in last year. So I think it's going to do well for him.
Very good. Very good. These two, they're going back to live classes, in-person school. And they signed up for all kind of clubs. My Haley signed up for a drama club. My son signed up for a video game club. So,
right on.
Stuff that they're interested in.
Man, I like that schools are getting more supportive when it comes to gaming because there's a lot of things that you can get out of it. And the research shows that gaming actually does provide some benefits. So I like it. And also as a side plug here, we have a new producer starting this evening, Kay. She's with us tonight in the background, making sure everything runs smoothly. She does a podcast with her sister called Double XP, where they go all into gaming, and so make sure to support her and her sister friend. I check it out when I can, and it's always a good show. You guys do amazing things when it comes to gaming.
Season 2 is starting next Wednesday at 8 Eastern. And as for the video games, I feel that you are correct. Yes, needless to say, hand-eye coordination and reasoning and just like spatial awareness and all kinds of pattern recognition. So many things can be enhanced with video games.
Y'all did me
I'm
wrong.
totally biased, but
y'all did me wrong. Y'all had me going with that Punisher's pun for almost a month.
I know, but I tell you, that was much needed months. We're coming back stronger than ever.
There you go.
We need to bring Punisher on. We need to bring Punisher on for some dad jokes sometime. I think that she would absolutely kill it. At some point, we need to make it happen.
Puns are puns, but dad jokes, that's a whole nother thing. And I enjoy me a good dad joke. I can't deny. But all right, I will let you guys get back to it.
Thank you.
What's up, Linda? How you doing, Linda?
Hey, Linda. Thank you for checking us out. So I wanted to talk with you today. Our main topic for today, I came across an article on the parents.com website. And it was talking about, it was a list of 10 movies that parents won't let watch their kids anymore, or let their kids watch anymore at a younger age that we watched when we were kids. Now, they listed these in order from, they're all bad, but least problematic to problematic. And it was Toy Story 3, Bambi, Little Mermaid, The Jungle Book, Snow White, Aristocats, Fantasia, Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan, and the worst offender was considered Dumbo.
Nope.
What? No. Okay, so first of all,
stop. Did you say Toy Story 3 and Aristocats? What?
Okay, so Aristocats, I think, no, I understand the question. I think Aristocats is more because if we really look at it as adults, there are some stereotypes that are in it that are not socially acceptable today. It's
I'm gonna sit here for a second. I'm just gonna stay here while we talk about
Kay took that personal. I don't know what she took.
No, I was not
personal. I don't know what she took.
I'm my phone to like text and be like, "What do you mean, Toy Story 3? Is that just like such a wholesome movie?" Like,
I don't know what Kay took more personal, that list or Marvel movies. I don't know what she took more personal. I don't.
You know what? That's a hard question. I don't know on that one. But I get that there are some questionable messages.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Because I see, yes.
Whole childhood.
Thank you, Linda.
No, that's my whole childhood.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess to me it seems like, I don't know. Like I said, I know there's definitely some rough messages there in a lot of these older movies, but I guess it's also kind of like, it didn't occur to me when I was watching these movies growing up to be like, hey, look at this thing. Like, I never saw it as that until like,
when I saw Jungle Book, I got it immediately. I got it in Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book is kind of blatant. Like, I didn't
immediately.
But
Aristocats, it took a minute.
Like, and I think for me, the reason why I struggle with this, because like I understand the reasoning on some of those. Like with Toy Story 3, I think it's more just because it's a little bit of a darker feel to it. Mm-hmm. Like, because I mean, honestly, like that is the dark Toy Story.
I don't necessarily agree not exposing our kids to like rough stuff, right? Because death's a thing, things happen, we all know inevitable things, taxes and whatnot. So like, I understand trying to keep them safe. But
here's the thing that gets me. You banned this list, but yet and still some of the greatest cartoons ever, like G.I. Joe, still exist today for kids to go see. Guns shooting all over the place, bombs come out of aircraft carriers. Now, granted, none of these dudes can hit, none of these dudes can shoot you, but because all this gunfire, no one was getting shot. But still.
And here's my thing, and I understand that like. And I'll preface this in case anybody gets offended. You know, I understand that I'm white, but when I look at some of
when you're trying to go into something like that, you have to preface it with that, right? Like
that is a shame,
right? Because I don't want anybody to think that I mean anything ill will by what I'm about to say. But here's, as a comedian and a performer, when it comes to art, the embellishments and the stereotypes are the focal points because it connects other people to the project.
Oh, that's facts.
Whatever it is. And so, like with the Aristocats, yes, there was some more racist, you know, what could be considered racist stereotypes. But what they were trying to portray was a caricature of Louisiana, of New Orleans.
Facts.
So it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. And so I don't understand where, like, but I get, you know, where's the line? You know, and I can understand, and I can understand that, but like with some of these, like,
Linda, if they hit somebody, you know, but all that gunfire and they hit nobody in any of those cartoons. I think you saw nobody. I think Rusty Hudak got shot and in the hospital. He was in the hospital for half the episode, and that was it. He was the only person I know that ever got hit. Nobody died in any of these G.I. Joe.
Right. And I think it was taking place in Paris. Technically, yeah.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah, but it was taking place in Paris. So you're right about that. But it was at least that's the feel that I got from it, was the caricature of Louisiana. Like, Oliver and Company is a caricature of New York City. Yeah, obviously, there are a lot of Italian stereotypes in that movie. You're going to see a line of Guidos wrapping around Disney going, "Hey!" That's not going to happen. Right. Like, come on, let's be honest here.
Right.
And so I don't think that it's. And I can understand you got, you know, the question comes into where do you draw the line, but I think that we have to be honest in a lot of situations and consider intent.
Right.
And I think that that's an important thing. And we can discuss darker themes as adults, but let's be honest, there's not a kid show on the planet that doesn't have inappropriate jokes. Yeah. I was just watching a video today that broke down a bunch on SpongeBob, even Rugrats. Rocco's Modern Life was something our parents loved. He was a phone sex operator.
Don't even get me started on Rugrats. Those were some of the most irresponsible parents in the world of cartoons. Don't even get me started on Rugrats.
Jesus.
Like, and this is the thing. Like, it's this content is supposed to be about imagination.
Right.
Like, even when we look at the original All That from when we were all younger, like back when Kel Mitchell, Keenan and Kel were on it, Amanda Bynes, back, when it was the kids' Saturday Night Live, that, is what we watched.
Right.
There were so many inappropriate jokes on that.
Yep.
Like,
well, I mean, I guess to be fair, you got to make it fun for the adults sometimes too, right? Because otherwise,
exactly.
like if it's the type of jokes like the kids don't get it, but the adults do, that's like the perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they manage to do that sometimes, because I'll rewatch stuff and be like, wow, they put some amazing stuff in there. Jeez, I never saw it that way.
But I think this is also a good reason why you should watch TV with your kids.
Absolutely.
This is a good reason. So in case they have any questions or whatnot, you can answer whatever questions they have, get out in the open. I was watching Xena the other night, and my daughter was asking me all kind of questions, and I was able to explain it to her. So,
yeah.
Well, and I think for this list being what it is and being very public, the only thing that Disney has really done with these movies is if it's somebody under 7, if the profile is for a child under 7, you can't watch those movies.
Right.
And then if it's 7 and up, it comes up with a warning before, and I want to make sure I quote this so that I'm saying it correctly, but it's, where's it at? Come on. Where did it go? Of course, now that I just had it early. Okay, so it says, this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatments of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove the content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. And I think that's a decent... And that is, I mean, because it calls it out. They're taking ownership on it.
Yep.
Right.
And then saying, in this, it does spark conversation because, it doesn't, as us as adults, it's not hard to talk about, figure out what all you're going to have to talk about with Dumbo and explain.
Mm-hmm.
This is what an acid trip looks like, kids.
Elephants on parade.
But that's the thing. That's the way these movies were designed. They were designed to be something for the kids and for the parents to be walking out of the theater while the kids oh, that was such a nice story. And the adults are looking at each other like,
did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?
Exactly. And I love stuff like that. I love the double entendres, the hidden meanings and different things. If you look at the karate episode of SpongeBob, if you take out the word karate and replace it with sex, that's the only thing you change. Take out the word karate and replace it with sex. That episode takes on an entirely different adventure. And with some of the noises they're making while they're doing karate, it's pretty easy to not have to figure out, the double entendre there.
SpongeBob was pretty good about that. From what I've gathered. And but I guess that just puts us as a different breed these days, right? Because the next generation, I do understand where they're coming from, but it does make it's hard for people who are used to it and just laughing stuff off and not taking it as like what you said. It's the intent behind it, right? If you can see it to just be okay, yeah, we all have to be able to laugh at ourselves and stuff like that, and not out of harmful places.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not seen that way anymore. It's completely overlooked. It just goes, it's there can't be an intent. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter these days, and it's hard, I guess, to come to a meeting ground on that. We're just going to argue back and forth on it.
I think you're right. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive more into that part about intent, because I think it's an important thing we should talk about.
Yes, very much so.
No one pulls up like we do. No one does us like we do. Always go hard with this crew. Welcome to the show, let's make moves. Nothing's gonna stop us, it's not to get rough. Turn the whole room up, it's never enough. Let's go, 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 let's go.
Josh got a big old hand. That's the first thing. Second thing, she
Listen, I was not prepared for you to say that. Like, my brain was like, wait.
I gotta get up my boy. I gotta get up my boy.
That was great. That was great. Oh my god.
All right. The first commercial was for the Sports Report every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Join me, 7, Tony C, and Dan. We're bringing the best of the sports world to you. And then August the 2nd, we have Sports Report After Dark. It's going to be uncensored. It's going to hit on those quote-unquote adult style themes in sports with 7 and Dan. That's going to come right after the Sports Report August 7th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, so let's dive back into intent, because I think that with a lot of the problems that we're facing right now as a society, especially in the last couple of years, I think that intent has virtually disappeared.
Oh yeah,
and I really think that scares me as a person. I would say why. One of the things in my therapy with my mental health issues that I've worked through is called cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. And so when you look at a thought, and one of the things that cognitive behavioral therapy teaches you, when you look at a thought, you have to look at that, look at what it is, and then you have to break it down. Right. Is this something that's hurtful or harmful? Is this something, you have to rip it apart. And you have to really examine your intent and your own meaning behind your thought.
Right.
And it's one of the ways that you get control of yourself and recognizing where you're at, getting, okay, I was anxious all day today, but instead of it being 3 days, it was only 1 day today, and guiding yourself back to where you're more functional. It's not perfect. It doesn't always work. But for those of you that are trying to figure stuff out, cognitive behavioral therapy is amazing. It retrains your brains and your ideas. And so with going through this, like I'm constantly aware of everything. And so like when I say something like, Stephen A. Smith was in the news recently for the comments that he made about Shohei being the face of baseball. I mean, realistically, we all know Stephen A. Smith was not saying this because of anything other than it's hard to connect with the fans when you don't speak the same language.
Right.
Like that was his intent behind what he said.
Right.
When Bob Brenly was made the comment about Tom Seaver's old do-rag during the Arizona Diamondbacks game, he wasn't making fun of the pitcher's race that he was talking about. He was commenting about the age of the do-rag.
Right.
But of course, people took it differently, and his intent didn't matter. Now, when we look at movies like Aristocats, it was in Paris, this, the jazz Cajun feel of Louisiana blended in. It was an artistic attempt at showing, the more of an underground world, right. Introducing kids to a seedy underground, because that's kind of what it was. It was the seedy cat underground, but, we all know cats are sketch as fuck anyway. Let's be real. Yep. No, but so like there wasn't a racist intent behind Aristocats. Like the intent wasn't there, and so I can't look at something like that. I can't look at Aristocrats and see it as racist. Now, right. Yeah, I have to tell my son, hey, these are caricatures. These are not, don't treat these like this is how certain people are.
Right.
But we should be having those conversations as parents anyway.
We should.
Regardless of the content.
We should.
Because, like stand-up comedians live on stereotypes.
Yes.
The basis of comedy joke writing is you're looking at an assumption and you're going to know if you're going to go against it or with it or whatever. And so you have to work at that. And so sometimes there are, like, Steve Trevino is an amazing comedian. He's very funny. You get a chance to check him out. He's got a special on Prime Video right now if you're a Prime subscriber.
Yes.
He talks a lot about his relationship with his wife and being a dad and a husband. Now, yes, he makes a lot of jokes, complaining, making fun of his wife, making fun of home life and stuff like that. That's his shtick. But I'm not going to not like him because, he hates his wife. He hates being a dad. No, he's painting a caricature of some of those things that we all struggle with as the husband or the dad.
Yes.
In those scenarios. I'm not going to look at, like with Dave Chappelle and his opinions on trans people. He doesn't hate trans people. He thinks it's weird.
Yeah.
And
why it might not be, and why it's not popular, he has that right to feel that way. Why it's not a popular opinion, he has that right.
He has that right, and it's not. And he doesn't present it in a way to be disrespectful. He doesn't run around yelling at trans people, telling them that they're monsters or disgusting. Like, he just admits that he thinks it's weird and he doesn't understand. I think it's a very human thing to do.
I think it is too.
I would rather somebody do that than act hateful because of a lack of understanding, like some people do when it comes to racial issues, political issues, and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so and that's the thing, is it comes back to intent. Like, I mean, what are some things that you watched as a kid are there any things that you watched as a kid that now, like, obviously you talked about Jungle Book. Is there anything that you watched as a kid that now, like, you haven't let your kids watch, or that you made them wait till they were older?
I would make and this is going to sound kind of funny coming from me, who I am, but I'm not going to let my younger son watch Dukes of Hazzard. Not till he gets about 14, 15 years old. Then he can watch it all he wants. But there's certain things in there to me that he's not ready for as of yet. Like the Confederate flag, for example, he doesn't really understand that. So when he gets about 14, 15 years old, I'm going to explain it to him. Yeah, and it's a good thing. I mean, it's understandable to wait to that point. Like, for me, when I look at, like, with the Confederate flag, that one has always been an interesting topic to me, because, like, I lived in Phoenix until I was 13, and then I spent my adolescence in a rural area. I'm talking 350 people in the first town, 10,000. The biggest town I lived in had 75,000. Right. And it's why, while I still don't agree with the sayings of heritage, not hate, so let me be clear, I don't agree with that. I can understand why they see it, because it's the way that it's taught there, and it's the way that it's presented there. Mm-hmm. Like, in those areas, it's not common for, people of different races to hang out. Everybody's pretty cool. You don't really, like, especially in areas I was in middle of Missouri. And, one of my best friends in high school and his older brother, both of them were black. I mean, it was very common. Everything was fine. And it wasn't really, unless somebody was being actually, yelling the N-word, harassing somebody because of their race, actually saying stuff, like, they just legitimately see that as a part of their heritage. Mm. And so, like, for example, when Luke Holmes got criticized because of that video he did with Colt Ford, Outlaw, where the area Luke Holmes grew up in, he didn't understand the impact that has, because in the world that he lived in, that's not common. That was common.
It's literally a cultural difference,
right?
And so, while I don't, and like I said, I'm not condoning these type of things and saying that it's okay for them, and when you say, hey, this is what it's really like, mm-hmm. and they go, oh, okay, and they change their behavior, that's it. Yeah, that's all it should be.
Yeah.
And people get raked over the coals for stuff like that, without people looking at their intent and what the real situation was.
I think intent is very important. I think also looking at, and it rolls up with intent, the content, the meaning, and of course the overall education of what you're talking about. I think you can solve most of the world's problems with the proper education, but we're so blind to the fact of how the world is, we don't want to know why the intent, why the meaning. We don't want to know why it's like that so we can make the proper changes to stop it from being like that. And that's just being lazy on the part of everybody.
Right. And then
you cut out there a little bit. Uh-oh. I think we lost him. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that. I touched the wrong button. Okay. All right. So, and I think that's key. Intent has been lost. And like when we are talking with our kids and we teach them things, it has been ingrained in us. And I know in your generation, it was like this. In my generation, it was like this as well. Parents didn't want you to ask why. Just do as I say. You don't get to ask why. You just do it. And there's so much resistance met with that by us because I said so,
right,
is not an answer.
No.
And you can't parent under that thing. Why are you telling me to do my chores? Because you need to contribute to the house and you need to know how to take care of yourself when you get older. That's my job as a parent. And by doing it now, it's going to be habit to do it later so that you can be a functioning part of society.
Exactly.
Tell them why. My son, when they start pushing back on, this subject in school, I'm not going to need it. Okay. You may not need that specific information, but the problem solving strategies you're going to learn, you are going to.
Right.
And by giving that intent, you gain more traction to keep the conversation and keep your children engaged and willing to talk with you. And it gives them the ability to feel comfortable voicing themselves when they become an adult and being able to speak up for themselves. That's the intent behind allowing your children to ask why and actually giving them an explanation.
And you also give them the education how the real world is, because when you deal with people, that's how you have to deal with people. That's how you have to deal with people from a logical standpoint.
It's also a leadership trait to be able to allow people to ask you why and give them an answer.
Right.
Because not only are the people that you're leading going to feel comfortable knowing that you have justification for why you're doing what you're doing and you're not just running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Right.
But they also feel like you respect them because you're giving them the time to make sure they understand the process.
Exactly.
And that's the sign of a leader. When Braun, you see videos of Braun coaching his son, he doesn't just say, hey, do this. He shows him why and he's talking to him. He's telling him why. He's breaking it down for him.
Breaking it down for him.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about intent, and then we'll dive into the other stuff we're going to do today.
All right, we are back. Welcome back to First Generation Dad. Why did he do that at the end of that commercial? I do not know. Anyway, first commercial that you saw for the Geek Gauntlet podcast every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern with myself and Shaw. And we break down everything in the world of geek. Then the second commercials you saw were for the Double XP podcast. Those ladies, K and Punisher, will be back next week, Wednesday at 9 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time. My fault. Oh, I got 9 on the brain. And then we saw the commercial for a rebranded podcast. Should you be Paradigm Shift now? The Pinfall podcast that's coming soon on the network. That's going to air on Sundays in the very near future. Definitely be on the watch out for that.
Right on. So let's get back on talking about like with intent. Obviously, we've got the the content and stuff like that. Like, is there any content that you've used to open discussions? Like, watching something and then just letting the conversation happen naturally because of the content within that thing?
I try to we watch a lot of superhero stuff. My kids love Teen Titans Go. They both love that. They both love Sonic. For some reason, both of them love Tails. Tails is a punk. But anyway, I thought it just kicked me in the leg. So I try to keep everything as lighthearted as possible. We don't watch anything really, really too serious. But if I feel it's like that, like a movie or like The Incredibles, we all sit down and watch it together. If they have any questions, we answer it. So I try to keep them within a good boundary. But I do watch it with them, and if they do have any questions, I'm here to answer. So a couple of things. I went to Missouri Western State University, where the Chiefs do their training camp. Yes.
When the freshmen are doing their orientation for all the full-time students, one of the things that they did, I don't know if they still do it, but this is what they did back then. One of the pieces of the orientation is everybody goes into the theater room at the school, and they watch the movie Crash. You seen it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Crash, it's an absolutely fantastic movie. Okay. Sandra Bullock, Ludacris. I mean, the list of stars in this movie is absolutely amazing. It's the whole focus is discussing like assumptions and racism and stuff like that. Like it's absolutely a fantastic piece. And so what they did was they just said, hey, we're going to watch this movie to everybody show up. And so everybody's sitting there watching this movie, and you see all this content unfolding and everything, and there's multiple stories that intertwine into one thing at the end. And just like the ripple effect of assumptions and stuff like that. And then we talked about it. And I think it was a great way because it really pointed out, it subtly pointed out multiple things. And then it made the conversation that much easier.
Right.
Because it was there in display. Like when my son and I are watching, this is the second part, he and I watch Bob's Burgers. Every couple of weeks, we'll watch a few episodes. And
Bob's Burgers.
Hi, Gina.
Hey, Gina.
And I know that it's not the best show. I enjoy it though. I like Bob's Burgers, but the jokes and the inappropriate stuff in it mostly are like either innuendos or stuff that are like in jokes, like in stuff that Gene says or the puns in the burgers. I love Gene. I absolutely love Gene. But one of the things that I like, we when those comments come up, we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a joke about like labor or something like that. Michael kind of laughed out pause. Hey, do you get that? What are you thinking? Why did you laugh? Like, and it because first he's really gonna more remember he and I sitting there watching Bob's Burgers.
Mm.
Like that's what he's gonna remember.
Mm.
But I get the icebreaker of him being comfortable and relaxed. He sees something funny, he just laughed at it. Hey, let's take 10 seconds and ask a couple of questions about that. Make sure we're on the same page.
Right.
Because he's 11, he's learning.
Mm.
He's basically Gene's age, really, if you think about it.
Right.
And so I think it makes it a little easier for those talks.
Oh yeah. And that's my thing. And that's my thing. We need to stop letting the TVs and tablets and stuff like that be our babysitters.
Oh,
you know? It's just been recently. I let my daughter watch SS Sniper Wolf. I can't stand SS Sniper Wolf, but it's just recently I let my daughter watch her. And the reason why I always question some of these YouTubers is what is she getting from it? What educational? What are you learning from it? And my daughter, who's standing right next to me, I don't understand why my daughter likes her so much. I don't get it.
No, my son, because my son's about the same age as your twins. And my son loves her as well.
So I don't get it.
Honestly, I get it more with my son because there are she's got a couple of focal points that are there in the shot all the time. She's got some tracts of land sitting there, if you will. And I think that those are on display intentionally. I'm not saying anything against it. I understand.
Right. Well, my son doesn't watch it, but my daughter does. And again, I just don't understand it.
And that's the is I mean, outside of that, I don't get it. It's never been interesting to me. But I mean, she relates. She lives here in Arizona, apparently somewhere. I don't know. I watched her stream a couple of times, but not really me.
Me neither.
But it's there's so many times like one of the things that I think about when I think of intent is like it frustrates me when a parent forces their kids into an extracurricular activity.
Yes.
Because I understand the intent behind the options being there. But your child isn't getting anything about it, forcing them into soccer or basketball or football or something else. They have literally no interest in being.
If anything, it's going to make them resent you. You got to be doing something.
It causes a disconnect.
Yeah.
And I know there's one of the guys that I went to high school with. He and I played soccer my sophomore year, and then junior year he moved to the football team. And he doesn't want, and he got a full ride to Mizzou on the football team as a kicker, was invited to the combine and turned it down, went back and got his master's. You don't see a lot of kickers getting invited to the combine.
You don't. You really don't. You really don't.
And one of the things he and I were talking one day, and sports was a means to an end to him because his dad forced it into him and he used it to get college and get his education.
Right.
But the only thing that he watches now is rugby. He'll go to a Chiefs game every once in a while since he's in Kansas City. But rugby is the only thing he really hardcore enjoys as a sport. Right. Because he was forced into him so much as a child that he had no connection with it.
Right. And rugby is his passion.
And when we played soccer when we played soccer on Fridays, when we had practice on Fridays, that was rugby day. Because because our games were Tuesday and Thursday. And so Friday we'd get some, we'd work on some basic stuff, if there was any major issues from the Thursday games.
Right.
And then we played rugby. And it was more just for us to get that energy out from the end of the week and frustration because it's after school and it's hot because it's the fall and you're sweating your ass off.
Right.
And we would just go. And it was fun. And it was the only time that we were able to just have fun and mess around as guys, as boys, adolescent boys in high school.
Right.
So, what's the intent behind forcing your kid into these things? Because, with my son, he stopped being interested in scouts. And it was, okay, what else do you want to do then?
Right.
It wasn't, okay, I'm just going to put you in this. Oh, you're going to go to baseball. Oh, you're going to go into whatever. And that's why when I've got him into stuff, he participates. When he got into karate, he wanted to. He plays guitar now because he wanted to. I gave him the choice.
Right.
He knows Russian now instead of Mandarin because he got to choose.
Right. Right.
And so my son has the ability to be decisive and use his voice. Mm-hmm. And he's a shithead like me sometimes. But his partner, whoever they may be, whatever gender they are, that's completely up to him. I know that. They are getting somebody that is able to vocalize their needs and communicate to be effective in their part of the relationship.
And I think and something that you need to be commended for is to giving your child that choice, because a lot of times with parents, we look at our way. You said it earlier. We look at our way as the highway, and we really have to stop doing that. We have to listen to our kids more, talk to our kids, get their opinions more, stuff they like, stuff they don't like. I messed around the other day during my kids' orientation. They have a golf team, and I said, and I was just kidding around with my son. Son, I'm gonna put you on a golf team. Dad, let me do it. Let me do it. Yeah, we're gonna let him do it. We're gonna let him do it. We're gonna let him do it. So I thought that was pretty cool. He wanted to be.
My first roommate when I was in college was there on a scholarship for the golf team. I mean, yeah, let him do it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially because getting kids into golf, like that's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great sport. There's a lot of talent and focus. It's something that's amazing. I love the sport. I played it when I was a kid myself a little bit. I'm just a little too ADHD for it, and that's okay. But no, that's amazing, man. That's great.
And plus, the thing with that, golf is different than a team sport, because in golf you have to rely on you and nobody but you, and it puts you in situations where you have to come out and shine. And I think that's another good thing for him to learn too.
It is good, and it also because he's going to need to make sure he's getting an understanding of the course that he's playing on and where the holes are at, so how he needs to hit, an understanding, like getting the ability to learn, and also like if he gets to the point where he's able to have a caddy, that caddy's job is to help him understand what shot he's got to take as well, and being humble enough to listen to what his caddy has to say, because that's a vital resource. A number of golfers today that are pros that have struggled when they didn't listen to their caddy, or they got into fights with their caddy because they didn't want to accept that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Kepka that's having issues with his right now, or Deschambeau, somebody like that? I keep seeing that come across ESPN. Or like, when with presidents. Now, I don't know if Trump did this for Biden, but most of the time when a new president takes office, the old president leaves a letter with advice for the new president.
Right.
One of the most consistent pieces that's gotten handed down is listen to your Secret Service advisors. You listen to your Secret Service agents. And it's their job to keep you safe.
Right.
And so in those sports like that, listen to your golf coach, listen to your caddy if you have one, because that's not just good. That shows humility and accepting your role, even if you're the lead. Tiger listens to his caddy.
Yep.
Not saying the caddy's always right over Tiger, but Tiger listens to his caddy.
He does. And hopefully he'll make a recovery and come back.
All right. So, yeah, man. I feel bad for him. I think we may pick that one apart in the sports report after dark, because Dan and I have some thoughts on that one. So that one may come up. Okay. But I think the first one we're going to talk about with that is the 2001 Miami football team. And that's coming. He's wanted to talk about that for a while, so I think that's coming. But all right, when we come back, I think we'll wrap this up. Make sure we don't have anything else on this, and then dive into some dad news and some dad culture.
Yes.
Thank you for stopping with us. You're on mute, bro.
Oh, going it. Thank you. Welcome back to First Generation Dad. First commercial you saw before another really good podcast. That comes on every other Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can join Josh, you can join Kay as they break down anything in the world of media, like TV shows, movies from any era. You guys need to check that out. Last week's a couple of days ago show was really, really good. We'll be back a week from Tuesday, so then you can check them out. And then we have another new show heading over to the network. Drop the Mic with Josh and Punisher. They're gonna be talking about any era's music, so definitely check those guys out there. All right. So
now let's wrap up what we're talking about with intent here. So
sure.
When you when you think about how you do things now versus the way that your parents did things, do you think that you've just instinctively done things more with intent than they did? Is it something where they did the same and you carried it on? What do you think with what you've experienced?
My goal is to be better than my father. I did not have a real relationship to my father until I was well within my 20s. Maybe 24, 25 was when I first met my dad. And I've always tried to be a better parent than him. But my mom was a lot in my life, and a lot of stuff I learned from raising kids was from her. So I think I take it a step beyond, because I don't act on instinct, kind of like my mom does. My mom see the situation and she's already into the situation. But when you look at, I'm able to sit back, relax a little bit, review what they did, talk to them about it. Punishment if need be. Hey, no cell phone, no computer, no Fortnite, no Minecraft, stuff like that. So I think I take it a step better than what my parents did.
And I think that should always be the goal. You know, when we see, especially because time changes and sometimes our experience may see that versus what somebody else does. You know, I was talking with my other half, and we were discussing and she asked me a question. She goes, when you were growing up in the church, did anybody ever tell you that the first person you have sex with, whether you're married to him or it was rape or anything else, the first person you have sex with, that's who you're going to be with in heaven, no matter what?
I've never heard that.
And I said,
no.
And I was like, my brain was short circuited because I was trying to figure out what would be the intent behind saying that, because that's just going to ruin your kids, especially if they know a friend who's gotten raped, because unfortunately it's too fucking common.
Yes.
Or they've been a victim of rape and you don't know it. And you're going to say that to your kids? Are you serious?
Sick, man.
It's and that's the thing, is I don't understand the intent behind those things. And that's why I struggle with them, because I guess it's just, I don't know if it's just because of the ADHD and everything else, intent matters to me. I need that to understand.
No, and you're right. You have to have that, because if you don't have intent, then you have no way to get a meaning and no way to educate around what's going on. So you have to know what the intent of something is. Sometimes the intent is to instill fear. Sometimes the intent is to try to instill knowledge, but you have to know what that is before you can go around and figure out what's going on with the kid.
Intent matters.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
And I think that there can be a lot of criticisms about a lot of changes that are going around today. But I think one of the things that's been lost in all these discussions is intent.
Yeah, and it's never brought up, because we're too much of a society that is so fast that wants everything so given to you at supersonic speed that we don't slow down enough and try to figure out why something is. We just want the end product, but we don't want to ask why. What is the intent of this commercial? What is the intent of this movie? We just happen we have the movie and we figure the rest out later.
The thing for me is I think when it comes to intent, I look at it like this: if you sit there and you don't allow intent to make a difference, with cognitive behavioral therapy, the purpose behind it is to take you from being a black and white thinker into accepting the gray in your life, like accepting the gray and where life happens. And the truth of the matter is, not everything is black and white.
Nope.
That gray, all of it, is what makes the difference.
A lot of times it's going to be more gray in most of your situations than black and white.
Gray characters in whether it's in music or movies or TV shows. Deadpool is a perfect example of a gray character.
Yep.
I mean, and Deadpool's one of the most sought after characters. Like when you think about it, it's one of the most talked about, despite everything that's been raised for everything else. Like Deadpool is such a common topic,
right?
And or when they talk about like with Star Wars, all the deeper fans, they want the gray side, the gray Jedi, to be a thing that gets discussed and brought into being canon in the cinematic universe. Which personally, by the way, I do support that. I think it'd be amazing. Yes. But when it comes to actual life, nobody wants the gray in reality. They only want the fake stuff, and I don't understand why.
They want the puppy dog. They want the puppy dog tails. They want the pigtails, stuff like that. They don't want to see it from a whole 360 perspective. They don't. They want the yin, but they don't want the yang. They don't want everything to flow together with a rhyme or a reason. They just want everything to go down their one little happy avenue. But the problem that comes in from that is the fact that you mask yourself from the bad. And you can actually take lessons from the bad to make yourself a better person. But if you don't experience that bad and stay down that road of puppy dog tails and spring and flowers and stuff like that, roses, that might hinder you from being a better person in the long run.
It's not that just that it hinders you from being a better person. You at that point, you're not even in reality.
No.
Because very few things in life are actually black and white.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's one of those things you really get to as an adult. Because, like, when we're kids, we'll sit there, we think, oh, yeah, I can't wait till I'm an adult and I have it all together. That's the dumbest shit we say. That is the dumbest shit we say. We all know it. Yep. We all know it. And so intent has to come back into society and be more important. They say common sense. No, it's not common sense. It's intent. Yep. Intent is what's missing.
But it's going to be hard. But it's going to get hard to get that. It's going to be hard to get that through because our society, and I know I'm going to take some hits for this one, but our society has become so, and I don't know if it's a word. Say it anyway. Society's become so snowflakey nowadays. It's hard, man, to be able to even see black, white, gray, what's that's your colors, because we don't want to dive into the tough stuff.
And I think it's, with all the stuff that I share with my mental health, talking about like the 30 reasons to live, which for those of you that are following that, I'm still working on the recording stuff. The week that I lost of not having a laptop certainly hurt, but it's coming. I swear to God, I'm working on it.
What happened to it?
Well, I've got all the posts. I've got everything saved. It's just about recording and editing. And I've come to the point where I've realized there's some more stuff I'm going to add on because with some of those posts, like I kept some, like especially some of the early ones, I kept it short to try and actually get people to freaking read it. But I've realized since I'm going to be turning it into a podcast and having these episodes,
right?
Why not add the stuff that I left out? And so I'm trying to make sure that I create that correctly, that it's authentic.
Okay.
And I should have that out. My goal is to have it out by the 1st of August. And I'll keep everybody updated on that. But like, I'm just, all I'm doing when I discuss these things is I'm just talking about my experience, because with how the stigma's been on mental health or whatever situation you want to mask in that place, it's not talked about. Right. A stigma should be on the fact that, okay, rape is bad, but there shouldn't be a stigma on talking about rape.
Right.
And I can understand that there are people that have been through traumas that it's hard to discuss, and that's fine. Content warning, hey, we're talking about this. Okay. That's completely understandable for those individuals. Right. But it shouldn't be taboo to discuss this and saying, hey, make sure we understand this is rape. This is how we, when we're having those conversations about consent, we need to make sure that we are defining these actual things, because we can't pretend they don't exist.
Right.
It's part of the conversation. It's like holding back a character when you're writing a book or writing a movie script or a TV show.
Yep.
You can't hold that character back, or you're not going to get the content that you want.
Right.
And so it's important. It's important.
Can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to talk about all aspects of life, good, bad, and different. You can't be scared to speak on them. Because
go ahead.
Because again, if you keep silent, A, you're not doing yourself any good, because all that builds up inside you, and B, it might be somebody out there who you can really, really help, and get them to speak on what they went through and help that next person.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, we spend so much time, especially when you grow up in different situations where you don't have both parents, or maybe it was just a bad parenting situation that you grew up in. There are things that you don't understand that actually exist. And you start to feel like, as you can realize some of these things, like, am I alone in not knowing this? No. And that's the importance of things like what we do, and getting connected into like groups of other parents or the people with, whatever mental health condition or, thing that you're struggling with, addiction, whatever it is.
Right.
People that understand. Because nobody should ever feel alone.
Hey, no.
I just, and that's, I don't know, I guess maybe that's my life's work, is to try and make sure that nobody feels left alone if I can. You're not alone, no matter what it is. You're not alone. Yeah. You're the worst person in the world. Guess what? You're still not alone. As long as you're not Jeff Bezos, you're not alone. Jeff Bezos, guess what? There's somebody else that's also a really horrible person.
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
Yeah.
Juliana's over it. She's apparently getting a divorce. There you go, Jeff Bezos. You can both be shitty people together.
Yep.
But no. So before we get into dad jokes, my last thing that I want to wrap up with is on this topic is we have a responsibility to ourselves and our children to acknowledge intent, even when it's bad. Acknowledge it and allow it to be a part of the picture, because the picture gets clearer, and then you have a way to move forward.
Right.
So what intent? All right. So
very
we're
important.
gonna do some dad jokes before we wrap it up tonight.
Oh, heck yeah. All right.
You want to go first?
I guess I can go first. Try to find what I haven't used yet. Okay, here we go. Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera.
I drank a bottle of invisible ink last night. I'm still at the hospital waiting to be seen.
Good one. That was a good one.
You got another one?
Yeah, I can rattle you one more. Give me 1 second. Okay. It's April. If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring? Pilgrims.
I got arrested for stealing. Excuse me. I got arrested for stealing a whole set of encyclopedias. I said to the police, "Wait, I can explain everything."
I like that one.
Okay, those are all pretty good, guys. Yeah. Those are some dad jokes.
Okay, you got anything? Oh, okay.
Real quick,
right, well, before we wrap up today,
real quick, I want to do one thing real quick. Kate, could you come back on for just a second? Come here, you. There
Hi,
she is.
darling.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
You're a gamer, I hear, right?
No.
No, I heard that. You're gonna come be a podcaster too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be better than my daddy. He's just
Yeah, you will. Oh,
you
definitely. Listen to that confidence. We know she's going places.
Anyway.
And I am the crispiest chicken tender in the bunch.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Hey,
All
those
right,
fighting
don't
words
sit
with him
down.
right there. Look at that face.
That's
He's like,
life
are you
lessons.
sure?
Always be the crispiest tender in the bunch.
We're gonna sit down. We're gonna finish up, okay? Tell them bye.
Bye,
Jay, you got
Donna.
anything else for us tonight?
And
You got a joke? What's your joke? I'm scared. I'm scared. She has a joke, y'all. Hold on a second. I'm scared. Okay, go.
where do fruits go on vacation?
Where?
Paris.
Good one.
Oh, that's a good
Oh,
one.
goodness.
Oh
That's
my
a
goodness.
Jay, you got any final thoughts for us tonight?
Honestly,
Oh.
I had a lot of fun producing this one tonight, and I will be back in the future, guys. I will be here. I'm excited for all the dad jokes. I think, Seven, you do a really good job, like what Will said earlier, of being there, you know, letting your son do what he wants to do, and that's awesome. Will, same with you. It's really nice to hear such understanding parents, because, you know, I've known a lot of kids that, well, I guess not kids now, but, you know, whose parents were absent in a lot of ways like that, and it sucks for them now. So, you know, yeah, intent and all that stuff like that, having the want to explain stuff, that's great. Fantastic. Love it. So A1 sauce.
And
Well, thank you
also,
for being with us, and I appreciate you being here.
and I want to say it one more time before we jump out of here. Tony, I commend you of being able to speak on everything that you've gone through. I know it's not an easy thing to do. So I want to commend you on that for bringing that to the forefront, to the table. Takes a lot of guts and courage, brother. Takes a lot of guts and courage.
I've learned that you know, for a conversation to start, somebody has to start talking. And with my ADHD, there's one thing you can guarantee is that I am going to start talking. And so I just figured, you know, somebody's got to start the conversation. It might as well be me.
Right. Exactly. And once you start that conversation, there's no telling where it's going to go.
Conversation starts a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
Well, for my two guests, I thank you both so much for everything you do to help me be able to share this with the world. For everybody that tuned in live, and for those of you that check it out after, thank you for joining us. Check out all of the pinfall pages. Make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. We'll see you next week.
Peace.